Jack and the Beanstalk. Once upon a time, in a crooked little cottage at the foot of the misty mountains, lived a young boy named Jack and his mother. Their farm was small, their fences were broken, and a cold wind whistled through the cracks in the walls. They were very, very poor. Their only friend and source of income was their gentle cow, Bess, whose milk they sold at the market. But one year the crops failed, the garden withered, and Bess grew too old to give much milk. "There's nothing else for it," Jack's mother said one evening, her voice trembling. "You must take Bess to the market tomorrow." Jack's heart sank. Sell Bess? But mother, she's our only friend. His mother wiped a tear from her eye. "We need the money to fix the roof before winter comes, Jack. See that you get a good price for her. She is worth at least 5 gold coins. Don't you dare take a penny less." The next morning, Jack tied a rope around Bess's neck and began the long walk to the market. The sun was barely up, painting the misty mountains in shades of purple and pink. "Don't worry, Bess," Jack whispered, patting her neck. "I'll make sure you go to a good home." Halfway to the market, Jack met a peculiar old man leaning on a twisted staff. The man's eyes twinkled like stars. "Good morning, young man. That's a fine cow you have there. Where are you off to in such a hurry?" "I'm taking her to market to sell her, sir," Jack said politely. The old man squinted at Bess. "I'll buy her," he said. "I don't have 5 gold coins, but I have something much, much better." He opened his hand to reveal 5 dark, glossy beans. "These, my boy, are magic beans." Jack stared. "Magic beans?" The old man nodded. "Plant them tonight, and by morning, they will grow right up to the sky. They are your key to a fortune greater than all the gold in the world." Jack thought of his mother and their leaking roof. "A fortune? It's a deal," he said. Jack raced home, leaving Bess with the old man. He burst into the cottage, his cheeks flushed with excitement. "Mother, you won't believe it. I sold Bess for something better than gold. I sold her for magic beans." He proudly showed her the 5 beans in his palm. His mother's face turned from shock to fury. "You foolish boy," she cried. "You traded our only cow for a handful of worthless beans? We are ruined." In her anger, she snatched the beans from his hand and threw them out the window into the garden. Jack fled to his room, his heart heavy with shame. His mother sat by the cold fireplace and sobbed. Jack cried himself to sleep, believing he had made a terrible mistake that had cost them everything. When Jack woke the next morning, his room was filled with a strange green light. He rushed to the window and gasped. Where his mother had thrown the beans, a gigantic beanstalk now stood, its enormous leaves brushing against his window. It twisted up and up, thicker than any tree, and disappeared into the clouds. The old man was telling the truth. Jack whispered, "They really are magic." A surge of hope filled him. He knew what he had to do. Without a second thought, he dressed quickly, slipped out of the house, and began to climb the enormous beanstalk. Up and up Jack climbed, through the cool morning air. His little cottage grew smaller and smaller below him, until it was just a tiny speck. The world he knew disappeared, and soon he was climbing through thick, white, fluffy clouds. After what felt like hours, Jack pulled himself over the top of the beanstalk and onto a solid cloud. In front of him stretched a vast, new land. A wide stone path led across the clouds to a colossal castle looming in the distance, its towers scraping the sky. Jack followed the path to the huge castle door and knocked. It creaked open, and a giantess with a kind face peered down. "Please, ma'am," Jack said, "I'm very hungry." She smiled. "You poor thing, come in, but be quick and quiet. My husband will be home soon, and he is not fond of humans." She gave Jack a thimbleful of soup and hid him in a cupboard just as the castle began to shake. An enormous giant stomped into the kitchen. He was twice as tall as his wife and had a fearsome beard. He sniffed the air and roared a terrible roar. "Fee-fi-fo-fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman." "Nonsense, dear," said the giantess calmly. "You're just smelling the stew for your supper. Now sit down and eat." The giant grumbled but sat at the table. After his supper, he bellowed, "Wife, bring me my treasures." The giantess brought him a small, worn leather bag. The giant untied it and poured a pile of glittering gold coins onto the table, counting them with his sausage-sized fingers. Jack's eyes went wide. "Enough to fix our roof and buy 100 cows," he thought. When he was done counting the gold, the giant brought out a small white hen. "Lay," he commanded. The hen clucked and laid a perfect, solid gold egg. Jack could hardly believe his eyes. A hen that laid golden eggs. Finally, the giant brought out his most prized possession, a beautiful golden harp. "Play," he grunted. The harp began to play a soft, sweet melody all by itself. The music was so enchanting that the giant's head began to nod. Soon, great snores echoed through the castle like thunder. The giant was fast asleep. This was his chance. Quiet as a mouse, Jack crept from his hiding place in the cupboard and tiptoed towards the giant's table. He decided he couldn't leave with just the gold. The real fortune was the hen and the harp. He tiptoed to the table, carefully tucked the little white hen under his arm, and reached for the bag of gold coins. The hen was quiet, but heavy. With the hen and the gold secure, Jack reached for the final treasure, the golden harp. But as his fingers brushed its strings, it suddenly cried out in a loud, clear voice, "Master, master, a thief is stealing me." The giant's eyes snapped open with a roar of fury. "Thief!" he bellowed. Jack didn't wait. He scrambled off the chair, clutching the hen and the harp, and ran for the door. The giant lunged, his huge hand just missing Jack's heel. The whole castle shook as the giant gave chase. Jack raced out of the castle and across the cloudland to the Beanstalk. He didn't dare look back. He scrambled down the stalk as fast as he could. "Mother!" he yelled. "An axe! Quick, bring an axe!" His mother ran out with the axe, and Jack chopped at the beanstalk's base. With a mighty groan, the stalk crashed down, and the giant was never seen again. Jack and his mother, with their magical treasures, lived in comfort and happiness for the rest of their days.